what was the journey to kind of get to this topic, and what made you want to focus on like the negative side of it, or the deception and deceit?
I mean, I guess so the origin story of the book is several years ago. I came across a lot of young people from, I guess, the ends, so places like this, but I guess pre-gentrification, people places from Tottenham, places from South London, and they were like super wealthy, but they were presenting as wealthy, and they were from kind of non-traditional backgrounds, representing like they ran hedge funds and they were CEOs of banks and all manner of things, and they were like 21 years old. As I began to pull the kind of thread of it all, even though they had offices in Canary Wharf, the reality was that actually they weren't traders and they weren't kind of CEO hedge fund bosses. They were influencers, but affiliate marketers. And that was a part of the subterfuge. And I guess what I was drawn into was, I guess, at this moment where there's like a huge kind of gold rush in startup culture of investors trying to find the next big thing, and a world which is open to kind of a select number of people who've been to elite schools, have elite backgrounds, who are able to access those possibilities. The whole class of people who want to participate, but I'm not from those backgrounds. And so I was interested then in looking at how a lot of that subterfuge was replicating in other subcultures online, but they all had similar kind of trends. And so I guess I kind of embarked on this investigation. I kind of began to think, do you know what? This is thematic, and I wanted to just write about it and chronicle it and write a book that was accessible to the kinds of people who were in the book, that wasn't too, I guess, statistics heavy, and that was kind of more narrative driven and tried to really just relay, I guess, the human condition at the heart of economic life. So that was really what I was driven by. And when I wrote the initial long read a few years ago called The Wolves of Instagram, I did quite well.
Such good titles, this guy, right?
Well, it's all marketing, isn't it? but yeah, so I think from that, it was something that I really wanted to write about. And it's like, I mean, the book is a lot of different things. It's quite entertaining, but fundamentally, it's not trying to be academic, but it's trying to put points in there which I discussed, maybe like late stage capitalism or class or race, but put it in a way which doesn't feel so overt and academic and polemic. And that was kind of the intention.
Amazing. And of all the stories, which was the most shocking for you? And actually, like, really intrigued about the process, like your expectations going into the research versus the reality. How did it kind of stack up?
I don't know. When you say thing is that it's all become so desensitizing now. I think that the story of Ebenezer, EBZ in California, that raised a lot of kind of questions. And it's just listening to his life story and some of the adversity that he went through that didn't even make the book. Because there were like 30,000 words from the book that got cut out, actually. So bring it down and make it a bit more punchy. And so a lot of things were lost, which makes it more readable, but maybe loses a little depth. But I think that was worthwhile compromise. But his story was super captivating, raised a lot of questions. The young women who felt like they had to mislead their followers about the BBL and those kind of surgeries and some of the incentives that were hidden. I think that was also super engrossing. When I saw some of the actual botches that were happening, that was quite alarming as well. But I mean, yeah, I think that for some people reading it, if they're involved in the space and they're basically living online 24/7, it'd have been like, okay, yeah, cool. But when my mum read it, she was like, what the hell is this? What is going on? Like, she was super spooked and kind of horrified. So I think that a lot of people who have read it have been quite shocked by a lot of that. But that's even just like one part, you know what I'm saying? There's so much more out there at the moment. But I think that, coming back to an earlier point you spoke about deception, I think that scam culture has been quite a dominant conversation point in recent years. I think that we're in an age where just like everyone's bullshitting, basically. And bullshit is just like the dominant currency of our time. And I wrote it kind of even before like NFTs and that kind of thing took off. And some people really believe in it and they're like evangelists for it, but it's like actually the logic of it is just hype driven fundamentally. And so I guess that was one of the kind of things that I was trying to unpick. It's present, but maybe it's more subtle than some people would have liked.